Hello, hello,
Hello.
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 Yeah. Good morning, good
Twitch friends.
afternoon. Hello, friends. Yeah, happy Monday. It's
Happy
Monday, right?
Monday.
Yeah, it's Monday. Yeah, so welcome to Got It Live, folks. Welcome. This is a Monday, and we are doing a special stream here. We will do some coding, we will go over some features, but it is catering to a specific thing, and that is a gigantic release that we just had last week for all of your Telerik and Kenda UI bits. So we're going to unpack all the things for web, mobile, and desktop and see what is cool. So I'm one of your hosts, Sam. Let's go around and maybe introduce everybody else. With me, I have Ed, Mr. Ed Charbeneau. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, Sam. So I'm the Blazor developer advocate here. Sam and I go way back. We got some other folks with us.
Yeah, let's go with Chris. How are you?
I'm great, thanks. My name is Chris. I'm a software developer in the Blazor team, and I'm working on the Telerik UI for Blazor and the Blazor REPL.
Nice,
So,
nice.
yeah.
And Didi.
Hi everyone. My name is Didi and I'm a technical support engineer in the Xamarin and UWP team.
Sweet, sweet. And I see chat room is getting a little filled up here. Lord Course Guard. I like that handle. Hello, hello. And a good friend, Raptame, Cindy Fusco is here. Hello. Cindy is the person that keeps us going in the back channels with all things social, and she's the one who records all the things, puts it up on YouTube, makes us look good essentially. Otherwise, Ed and me are old people; we will fall flat. Yeah. So no, Ed and me are actually both in East Coast time, and Didi and Chris. Chris, I'm guessing you're in Sofia as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the magic of technology, we are all on screen all together. As long as the internet pipes hold up, we will be good. Okay, all right. So Chris and Ed really want to talk about Blazor because that's what is eating the world. It's Blazor everything. We get it. But Didi and me also made a pact that we will like to go first. We do a formal webinar, which is actually coming up tomorrow. And then, in the next 3 days, we have webinars where we go over all things Telerik, all things Kenda UI, all things productivity, all of the things that we do to make developers more successful. And Ed always gets to go first with his web stuff. So we're going to flip the table and see how many of you are on board with us native developers. Like this side of the screen is the cool people. That's all the the web hippies.
It's been a big news week for you guys on desktop though, because there was quite a few releases with with MAUI and .NET and preview 4 of .NET 7, all kinds of cool stuff coming out.
Yeah, absolutely. So we can go over some of that. So how about then Didi and me maybe do about an hour, and then we'll have you folks come over and talk web. So let me, Didi, I see your desktop, but let me share one quick thing here. And while we're getting started here, folks, feel free to ask us any questions here in the chat room. We are all here to chat. This is all informal. And if you would rather have like a continued discussion, then we do have a hashtag on Twitter. So use the hashtag #HeyTelerik and we can get back to you. But let me set the stage as to where we are and what we are trying to cover. So, like I said, a big release went out last week. I think it was on the 11th, so last Wednesday. This is our R2 release, all set for summer, trying to make you more productive so you can get your projects done and, head out for your summer vacation. So a lot of things that were, put out for Kenda UI. And we did a stream last Friday and last Thursday for all the productivity and all the Kenda UI suites. This is all about the Telerik stuff, which is desktop and mobile and web. So for me and Didi, this is what the team put together, and we really are, standing on the shoulder of giants. Didi is actually one of the giants. You will actually get to see some of her demos, but a lot of things across .NET MAUI, across WinUI, WPF, and I know like the name of the stream is all things Blazor and .NET MAUI, but we're going to talk about much more than that. We'll talk about some desktop stuff with WPF, WinForms, some Xamarin as well, because that's real. And then document processing libraries, you're going to see this pretty much all through our native and web and desktop suites. So a lot of things. So it enables more Blazor, maybe MAUI and Blazor co-op. Yes, it does. It actually works very nicely together. Okay, so let's start with mobile, then do desktop, then we go to Blazor and ASP.NET and MVC and Razor pages and all the web things. So Didi, shall we start with .NET MAUI first and then go to Xamarin?
Yes, I think we can start with .NET
All right.
MAUI.
Okay, so like Ed said, here's where we stand with .NET MAUI. So this is the evolution of Xamarin Forms, but it's actually way more than what Xamarin Forms used to be. Now it targets desktop. It's a very legit story. As we stand right now, we are at RC3, which is release candidate third iteration, has a go live license, so you can write production apps with it. This goes along with Visual Studio 2022 17.3 Preview 1. It's quite a mouthful. And then the VS Mac story is also coming along. It'll be in preview when this ships, but we are getting there. And every time they choose to focus on something, this was navigation, which is nice to know. So the shell is default and all the cool things. And we've been busy. So Didi, do you want to show this demo on Windows? You want to start things off on Windows, and then I can maybe switch to a Mac.
I can show our SDK application.
Okay. Let's okay. So if you're ready, I'm going to switch to your desktop here. All right,
Okay.
You're up.
So here, of course, I'm prepared. I have installed our SDK application, which is the .NET Telerik UI for .NET MAUI demo application. This is our current demo application. We have two applications which are described in our documentation. Sam, as you know, I'm very proud with our documentation, and here I want.
It's your baby. You get to write the docs and the actual demo apps.
And our documentation has one new feature with this release. Here, we can change the theme.
Love that.
Yeah, we can change the theme of the documentation. And here are our applications for .NET MAUI described. We have the SDK browser demo application and the CryptoTracker application, which the CryptoTracker application can be found in GitHub. We have a public GitHub repo about it, so you can check the source code there. And here is... okay, I have so many applications.
While this is coming up, you have so many things running.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's answer a couple of things. So first thing, what Ed is pointing out, this is super cool. All of our docs now have a dark mode. I know Ed is excited, and I know I'm the odd one out. Like I am all about dark mode, like on mobile devices, but desktop, like especially when I'm showing something, I'll stick to my light mode. But it's so nice to have dark mode. Absolutely.
I gotta wear sunscreen when I'm in front of your monitor. Like you just have everything jacked up to 10 on brightness.
Yeah. I'm an old man. I need my pixels to light up a little bit and show me. Otherwise, I
get like your vitamin D from your screen there.
Sam, did you switch on dark mode on your phone?
On my phone, yes.
Okay,
and also
finally.
on desktop. So I'm like when I'm working, they get it. Like, and then it's also actually dark mode is actually very important for like accessibility, guidelines. But when I'm particularly during the daytime, when I'm coding or when I'm screen sharing, I am still light mode. So I understand it's me. It's not the world. Yeah.
So you partially joined the dark side.
I partially did. Okay, so on the .NET MAUI front, I see a question in the chat room as well, which we'll get to. But what Didi here is showing you are the latest bits for Telerik UI for .NET MAUI, which I don't know if this was intentional, but our numbering, it could not have added up any or lined up any better. Because right now we are at the release 0.9.0, because like versioning semantics are hard, semantic versioning. So it kind of lined up. 0.8 went with RC2, 0.9 went with RC3, and 1.0 of Telerik UI for MAUI is going to go with, guess what, .NET MAUI GA, which we know the dates, but pretty much anyone can guess where .NET MAUI is going to ship now. It is this month in May. So this is the latest bits, and this is the SDK browser app that Didi is showing you, and it runs on Android, runs on iOS, runs the same way on Windows or Mac.
Yeah, and we have two new controls in our .NET MAUI suite: the batch view control and the datetime picker control. So yes, here is the batch view. Here is the indicator. So you can position this control wherever you want. You can integrate it with list view, tab view controls. It's very helpful. As we know, we have it in our applications in mobile phones, and it's very useful. And here is the datetime picker control, so you can pick date and time. Okay.
It's got like infinite scrolling and all the things. And what is really nice here, if you can stop here, Didi, for a second, is you have to realize, like with .NET MAUI, for the first time, you have components from us that run seamlessly on mobile and desktop. So we are very conscious of this and trying to do the right thing. So, and maybe Didi, you were going to talk about this, but all of our pickers now have a picker mode. So we are conscious of where you're rendering. Like this one here on this screen, you can see this is running on mobile. So we know that, and it's in a, kind of like a modal window. But the same picker, when you run it on desktop, it looks different because it's desktop and we have a drop down.
Yes, this is the picker mode, but we also have a drop down mode, which is also applicable for the desktop world, the drop down mode. Yes.
Yep.
Sam said.
Okay, shall we? Okay, go ahead and finish up with the .NET MAUI. Then chat room has two questions that I would love to discuss a little bit more. But go ahead with what else is new.
Okay, so we have a new look in our entry control. We have this clear button here. As we know in Xamarin, in our entry control, the clear button was one of the most requested. So we have it in our MAUI suite, the clear button, and the entries with completely new look. And the masked improvements are not in the masked entry, I'm sorry, in the numeric input. We have a new look of the numeric input control, and we can see it's completely different look of the numeric input control also on macOS, on Android, on iOS, and on Windows. Yeah,
and the same control looks different. And I can actually bring up the ones on desktop really quick after this.
Okay.
But the entry control, Didi, that has a few modes, right? I mean, you can do like password fields.
Yes, there is is password property, also is read-only property.
Yeah. So something simple like that, if you're just wanting to mask something from the user, you can use the entry. Otherwise, for anything complex, like especially if you get into like regex expressions, then use the masked entry.
Yes. And as Sam said, all pickers like datetime picker, time span picker, list picker, and templated picker, now they all have support for desktop. And Sam will show you the desktop support.
Yeah. Okay. So this all that you're showing, this is all C# and XAML. So let's try to answer this question here. Napam, hey, good to see you. When .NET MAUI ships, what you're seeing here, this is all native stuff, C# and XAML, but we also want to, cool people like Chris and Ed are really itching to, build native apps. We get it. You want to be a part of our pain, so we are happy to share our world of hell that we live in as native developers. So now all of that is welcome. It's not just Blazor. Any web technology is now welcome in .NET MAUI because we have a beautiful web view that's a nice abstraction. So the question is, will MAUI Blazor Hybrid also be GA? And Ed, correct me if I'm wrong, but yes, some of the tooling.
I believe so.
Yeah, the tooling will catch up a little bit, especially on a Mac, but this is all ready to go. The runtime is all good to go. It's one Blazor WebView component that's part of .NET MAUI runtime, and that will ship and be GA, not just the XAML MAUI stuff. And Code Monkey had a question here, and I can try some of this with you. But essentially, when you bring in Blazor, and in fact, this was very highly debated. If you are a CSS pro and you want to style your apps with CSS, then you can actually style XAML with CSS as well. Very few people do that, but you can. But definitely, if you're bringing in Blazor or Angular or React, any of those you can style with CSS. It should just work as is. But if you're seeing things that are not working on iOS, let us know. But it is a web view. It should style it just the way it styles it for the web. Fullschnabel, yes, good to see you. And web view is .NET MAUI. Yeah, it's one big control. What else? Yeah, no, Blazor Hybrid is good to go. Good to go. I mean, the whole thing is in preview. Some of the docs may still not have been updated, but when they go GA, it'll all be GA. Yeah. All right, Didi. So this is all .NET MAUI. Yeah,
you can explore the SDK app and see the full list of controls and key features they provide.
Yeah.
Sam, you can show the desktop.
I will show the desktop. Okay. So chat room here, Fullschnabel has a key comment here. Okay, so the web view that you get with Blazor web view in .NET MAUI, it is an abstraction. Like Fullschnabel is saying, it will literally render the right web view based on the platform that you're on. So if you're on iOS or Mac, it will give you the WK web view, which is Safari. And, Safari is the new IE6, or, so people say. So, yeah, some things may be different, but, just like CSS styling, that is pretty basic. I would hope that it's the same across. Like, even if you're using like SAS or LESS or other things like that. Ed, I mean, do you know anything that might be remarkably different?
I don't think there's anything that's different there. You can use all the HTML, CSS technology that you want with WebView.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But I mean, when you get down to and sorry, there's like it's trash collection day for us, so my background is a little loud, but it should be temporary. But when it comes to building a mobile web app that's a progressive web app, that's when like Safari and Chrome really start showing some differences. But I would think like for styling, most of it is pretty much consistent.
Anything web standard is literally that, web standard, so it shouldn't make any difference.
Yeah. All right, Didi. So this is .NET MAUI, and you're now bringing it up on Windows. Look at that.
Yeah. I found the desktop version of the application. So here is the this mode of the pickers, the drop-down mode, which Sam mentioned. And this is the desktop version of our SDK browser application.
Yeah. And this is running on Windows through WinUI 3. So
yes.
native bits. And the moment you're on desktop, you get full access to all the things. And then same with like mobile as well. There's nothing stopping you from getting to just about every native API that you need on the device. And this is something Ed and Chris are craving for because they can only stick to their web sandbox. They can't do native things. Well, now you can. Now you can.
And the cool here in .NET MAUI is that you can develop your application and run on Android, iOS, macOS, and Windows here. And native application, of course.
Indeed. Okay, so this is .NET MAUI. What about Xamarin Forms? Because that's not going away. Folks ask us a lot of questions like, is Xamarin dead? No, it's fine. Because like Xamarin is the last major release. This is the thing, Didi. Like anytime, like you're, especially in open source, like you go on a vacation for 2 weeks, people will come and ask you, like, is this dead? No, nothing is dead. It takes time for something to die off. Like look at Silverlight. But Xamarin, the last major release was November of 2021. So you have 2 years of support from Microsoft and from us. If you're using all of the Xamarin suites that we maintain, we will likely support it for much longer than Microsoft does. But you have 2 years to move things over to .NET MAUI. So this is Xamarin that you're showing us, JD.
Yes, this is our Telerik UI for Xamarin demo application. And of course, here we have the dark mode version of the application, and you can also find our another 4 applications, sample applications with our controls, the to-do, ERP, CRM, and target application. They are available on the store, so you can download them and explore the applications. And as you some know, I like the dark theme, but now I will I
Yeah.
will switch
No,
to
no,
the
you can stick to your dark theme. And
Oh,
so,
it's okay. So in yeah, Xamarin is not dead. So we have
yeah.
developed a new control, which was one of the most requested controls, the progress bar control. I can show you the first look demo of the application. There is a animation while changing the progress of the progress bar, and a lot of properties for customizing the progress color, the color of the progress bar, and you can change the text. You can display different type of texts. You can fully customize the text which is displayed in the progress bar. And of course, here is the configuration demo, so you can. There is also indeterminate mode of the progress bar. And another feature we have released with this current release, we have added row height to the RAD data grid control.
Okay, so Didi, before you go to the right data grid, I might be
Okay.
putting you in a fix here, but I do have some questions. So
Okay.
on the progress bar, when you look at the configuration, let's say, so I get it that we can customize all the things, but the value property, which is the exact, how much progress have you made? Do you know if that's a bindable class? Like, can I bind it to something where I can get some realistic sense of progress, like a long-running task?
Yes, the property is a bindable property.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because like we also have like busy indicators, which are, anytime your app is doing anything busy, there are like a dozen or more busy indicators that can be customized to any color, your custom animations. But this is more of the actual progress of the work that you might be wanting to show.
Yes, we can change the track color. Here is the text color. Maybe green is not good in this situation.
Yeah. Not very readable.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is a real progress bar that shows progress on something. And I mean, the indeterminate one is kind of the same as busy indicator at that point, because like you're waiting on something to be done. You don't exactly know how much it's done. So
yes.
I would still maybe go use some of the busy indicators, which are really nice and customizable. But if I have to show progress, then this is the one. Oh, so chat room is saying, I love the indeterminate part of the progress boards. We've given up for years. It is hard. It is hard to show real progress. It is really hard. Yeah. It's like by the time your UI updates, like that's not really what the progress is for your task. So it's hard. Yeah. But at least something to show to the user that you're getting it done. And like some of the common installations and some of the UI that we see, especially on iOS or Android, like is it really progress? Like it'll do like 90% of the way, and then the last 10% takes forever. So it's hard. Yeah. Okay. So grid. You were talking about the grid having customizable heights.
Yes, and the data grid, the most requested feature for the data grid was the row height feature. Okay. And you can easily use a single property row height and set the row height of the data grid. And this is shown in this example. Our Resize data source example from the previous release, we have added the data table support to the data grid control. So we have updated this example with the row height property.
Didi, can the user change the row height?
The user can change the row height.
So like, is there a UI through which we can let the user drag or no?
No, in this example from the UI, we cannot change.
Right.
But
I mean,
we can think about for creating such an example.
Maybe not right now, but I mean, we clearly have a property.
Yes.
So if the user wants it, we should be able to give it to them. Okay, and back in the chat room, Napam was asking a question which I think Ed already answered. Yeah, and when you bring things over, like this is all still native stuff that we're talking about. When you bring things over with Blazor Hybrid, it is literally whatever the web canvas is, and all of your flex and media queries and responsiveness should be working exactly as is. So the same app on an iPad versus on an iPhone should look different if your media query is giving you the structure of the the window that you're on. Perfect. And actually, you can actually do a couple of different things here. So you don't have to trust just the media queries here, Napam, and that's maybe the beauty of this is you have multiple ways of doing this because you are running on .NET MAUI, right? So you have access to all of the device orientation, the device layout, the exact dimensions of the device screen, right? So you don't have to trust just the media queries. You can ping a .NET MAUI API to give you the exact dimensions of the device that you're running on. You can do absolute layouts if you want. So you have multiple ways of knowing which device and how much form factor, width, and height you have.
You could mix and match as well. You could have multiple web views inside of stack panels, and is that what they're called in MAUI still, or is it? What's the terminology they use?
Stack layout.
Stack panel. Yeah. Stack layout.
Stack layout. Yeah.
Stack panel is for WPF, my friends. It's those.
They keep changing the terms.
It's these annoying frustrations which help us keep our jobs.
I mean, they couldn't have gone with the HTML grid and flex box. We had to come up with
because
terminology.
Because it's new. You folks are rediscovering things new. Like think about WinForms and WPF. We have done this for 20 years. So you're the ones who have discovered Flexbox after we had our views and layouts.
Fair enough.
And in MAUI, they separate the stack layout into vertical stack layout and horizontal stack layout. But you can also use stack layout.
You can use grids, you can do absolute, you can do flex. There's a lot of different ways. And actually, I can try showing you this a little bit. What else, Didi? What else did you want to show?
We have received many requests for providing a functionality in our PdfViewer control for saving and sharing files. We have decided to not directly implement this in our PdfViewer toolbar, but we have prepared a demo in which we have added two toolbar items inside the PdfViewer toolbar for sharing and saving PDF documents.
When you say sharing, like we shouldn't have to do much more than expose the stream out, and most like Android and iOS have their own mechanism of sharing, and that's kind of what the user uses.
Yes, that's why we have decided to not implement this in the control, but we have used the Xamarin Essentials Share API for sharing the files. It's very easy to use this API, so you can easily share your files. And for saving, we have used standard saving options, and we have saved the PDF document on the local application data. The saving and sharing PDF demo can be found also in our QSF application. And here is the save and share PDF. We have just added two toolbar items inside the PdfViewer toolbar, and saving and sharing functionality is developed in the view model. And I can continue with new features in our document processing library, and we have developed demo applications in PDF processing control here. Non-embedding fonts what does it mean if you want to export documents? You may don't want to import all fonts inside the document while exporting it, so you can easily export the document without the fonts, and you can see here
There's a big difference in file size when you don't embed fonts, but
yes,
the
you can see the
yeah.
initial document size and the exported document size.
I mean, the price you pay is you're trusting that the user likely has the font installed, because if not, then you're going to run into issues.
Yes. And the next feature is in our spread processing library. Previous release, they added the conditional formatting and add notes features, and now they have developed a new feature. You can easily add comments inside the spreadsheet. So let me share the. Here, I will use this demo because on my machine I have the Excel, which opens the files. So it will be easy. I don't have them installed in the Android emulator. Okay, so let's navigate to the spread processing demo, the add comments. So you can view the...
Didi, hold on for a second. This is app running on Windows? This is the Xamarin app?
Yes, this is the Telerik UI for Xamarin demo application on Windows,
Okay.
UWP, yes. And so you can check the document. There aren't any comments here. And you can insert the comments, then switch back to view the document, and our comment is here.
There you go.
Yes. And on mobile devices, there is a really nice UI for viewing comments. Yes, but I cannot show it here.
Office installed on iOS or Android. Yeah.
Yes.
So what Didi is trying to show you, and Didi, while maybe I'm speaking, you can bring up the web page here. We have a set of libraries called document processing, and this is really, really key for a lot of enterprise workflows, because you are dealing with documents in your, for your enterprise apps, and you need to be able to support spreadsheets, PDFs, Word docs, and you need all of this built-in features. So you as the developer aren't having to do all of this by yourself. So, and we keep adding more and more love into the document processing libraries. These are .NET standards, so you can use this on Blazor, on Xamarin, on .NET MAUI, on WinUI, literally everywhere. So we have support for threaded comments. We have whole columns and rows that are now can be referenced. I think in your formulas in spreadsheet. What else? What else, Didi? Word processing has alternate text images. Oh, type 3 fonts are in. These are kind of the old school, I think, PDF fonts. But now you can embed them all, and it should have all of the fidelity maintained across wherever you're delivering the PDFs. Different permissions, expose settings. Yeah. Cool. So all of the document processing updates really benefit every product because they work the same way everywhere. All right, Didi, anything else?
I think no.
All right, so how about I switch and bring you over to the dark side of Mac?
Okay.
I do have Windows running in a VM, so you might see my lights flicker a little bit.
It's by far my favorite part.
I have my thing running already. See, hold on, where is it? It's running. My little VM is running. The fans are going crazy, which is fine. Like it's running. Looking good in 320. Yeah. Okay. So what were we talking about? Okay. So all of the things that PD showed off, right? So how do you get to that stuff? So if you go into mobile components, you have .NET MAUI and you have Xamarin. You go into any of these, you see the big download button. When you do, it just downloads the source code of the exact same app that you see. And in the MAUI app, we are trying to get it in the stores, but everything else like Xamarin, WinUI, WPF, WinForms, you don't need to install any of our stuff. If you just want to play around with our UI, go to the app stores on Windows or Android or iOS. There are these same apps running in the app store, so download them and you get to play around. When you do install, and again, based on where you go, you will have all of these bits as well. So let me show you just a quick glimpse of what it looks like. For me, I keep stuff in my documents here. If I go to progress, you can see some of the latest bits here. So .NET MAUI, you can see all the way from 0.0.1. This was like last March probably, and we have come all the way to 9, 0.9. And this is the one that works with .NET MAUI RC3. And as I said, .NET 1.0, MAUI 1.0 is going to go with GA, and we'll be sim shipping with Microsoft. So day 0, even like before day 0, when .NET MAUI is ready, we will have our suite ready to go, commercial and production ready for all of your stuff. So you can see the Xamarin releases are also right here. That's R1 or R2 of 2022. For some reason, I may not have installed. No, I do have R2 installed here. So I can run all of these things locally, and you can look at some of the code base, particularly the Xamarin app. It's a big code base because it's the real app that we put out in the stores. It's the same exact code that's powering the store app, so you can see what we have been doing. So let's go into some of the examples here. So the SDK app, let's do that. So let's go into SDK, and I'm going to pull up Finder's terminal. All right, here comes our terminal here. Beautiful. And let's see if I have the Mac Catalyst build here. So I'm doing a .NET build, and I'm aiming for Mac Catalyst. This, by the way, you don't have to do command line anymore. I mean, I still would prefer to work this way, but you can actually do this in VS for Mac as well. So it's pretty nice that VS for Mac is coming along.
Yes, for Mac is also compatible with the M1 finally.
Absolutely. So here's the same exact app that Didi showed you on iOS, or I think she was showing it on Android and Windows, and now it's run on Mac and iOS. Same exact thing. So the data grid, getting started, simple data grids work, and all the way up till complex things like charts and graphs. They all work the exact same way across all of these desktop and mobile platforms, which is really nice. What was the thing that was new? The entry has a new thing. Oh, let's look at the date time picker. Right?
The entry and the numeric input, they have new.
So notice how the date time picker, since it's on Mac, now you get the drop down. And it's just a little different piece of UI compared to mobile, iOS or Android. So we are cognizant of where we are running, and we can do these interesting things. So that's the SDK app. But let's go up one level, and let's see. We want to go into the crypto app maybe, because we didn't get to show you that, and that's pretty nice as well. So we're going to go into that and run this same thing on Mac Catalyst. I'm not going to go into the Xamarin ones because I think Didi pretty much covered all the Xamarin bits. But this is another app, sample app that we are putting out on GitHub, so you can check out the source code and see how we are building this.
You can watch your money burn with the CryptoTracker.
So here's the CryptoTracker, and it's simple, but it kind of shows you all the different things you can do with crypto without going into the actual business of crypto. So, different stocks and different things. Where is Dogecoin? See, there's Dogecoin. And do not get Ed started on Elon Musk, because he's going to go on and on about it. But and this is also an example of how this app kind of looks a little different on iOS versus like Mac, because we know.
Sam froze up there, I think.
On. Wait, what?
You froze up. You said Elon Musk, and then you just completely froze. So
I see.
I don't know if that's a coincidence or what, but
Hey, I'm not making any promises that I'm not going to keep, right?
Maybe your Starlink isn't holding
Oh
up very
boy.
well today.
Oh boy, no. Starlink is good because it gives you internet access in places where you just don't. We can all have different opinions, but this is good. So again, this crypto app again looks different on iOS versus Android. And actually, maybe I can run this just to kind of show you. Let's open up my cheat sheet thing. Let's do an iOS build. I should stop using command line because like all of this is now in VS Mac. It's just a target. Multi-targeting works. So we're
I'm
building.
also using the command line, Sam.
Okay, there we go. It's nice because it's integrated inside of Visual Studio Code if you want. Oh, actually, this might not look too different because I didn't change my default simulator because on the iPad it still looks about the same as desktop because you do have quite a bit of surface area. But we'll give it a second here to spin up. But in the meantime, this is all that we are talking about, all the desktop stuff. And let's see, I got 15 minutes more to talk about desktop. So we talked all about .NET MAUI and Xamarin because that's what Didi and me are excited about. But the reality
and document processing library.
And document processing right there as well. The reality is WPF, WinUI, and WinForms. Those are also what keeps a lot of enterprise apps going. So, this one's a cold start from my iOS simulator, so it might take a minute. So let's keep that going, and then we'll switch to my beautiful VM for a minute, and let's talk about WPF. And these are apps, by the way, you can just, open up the store app on Windows and just look for Telerik. You're going to find all of these apps, including the ERM and the not ERM, ERP and the CRM apps that, Didi talked about. So this is Telerik UI for WPF. Notice the label here, it says R2. If you're not seeing that, then get the update from the store, or you can download the demo and the source code for this as well. WPF has a brand new virtual keyboard. Think of the times when you're running your virtual or your WPF app on a kiosk, maybe at like a train station or a bank or whatever, and you don't have a physical keyboard, but your WPF app is capable of doing touch. So why not give them a virtual keyboard? This is exactly what it sounds like, and it has all the different cultures that you can think of supporting, and it's a virtual keyboard. It does exactly what you expect it to do, but it's by touch. And I don't know if you heard the clicking, but we also have the clicking sign when you tap around. And while we are talking about this, there are two new things that are pretty much all across WinForms and WPF as well. Windows 11 is a thing. Ed might have some choice words about some drivers that don't work for him, but Windows 11 is out, and it's what a lot of you are running. And Windows 11 introduces some new UX paradigms. So we have a brand new theme and a style for Windows 11. Ooh, now my iPad Air is finally coming up. This is actually coming from my Mac side of things because the build probably just finished. We'll get back to that.
I'll
but
just give a pro tip. It's like you can install Windows 11. Do not upgrade from 10 to 11 unless you want issues. But I think that's always been a rule of thumb for Windows, hasn't it?
Kind of.
Like 7 to 8, you're asking for trouble. 8 to 10, you're asking for trouble. Same goes with 10 to 11. Just don't fresh install it.
Okay, so here's looking at any particular UI, you'll have the same thing. If I switch to the Windows 11 theme here, you notice how like everything gets a little bit more rounded. Everything gets a little bit kind of cleaner, interface wise. And there's also a Windows 11 dark theme for those of you who do dark theme. Fullschnabel is saying Windows 11 won't install on my 10-year-old desktop. Well, yeah, because they have the whole what's the TPM chip thing that they had, Ed? Because that's a security thing. So yeah, and you can actually fake it. Yeah, don't get me started. You can actually fake it. Like on my VM here, I can have a virtual TPM chip, and then you can still install Windows 11. But I'm still running Windows 10 here. So that theme is brand new. And Didi, can I ask you this thing? Can you explain? I sometimes struggle to explain what is the difference between a grid and the virtual grid. Do you know? You're on mute, Didi.
Okay, I was muted. Okay, so I'm not sure I can explain what is the exact difference. They looks the same, but I think the data source they're bound to it's different.
I think the virtual grid is meant to have a lighter footprint, so it may not have all of the features that a full data grid has.
Not all the features are in the virtual grid.
Yeah,
yes.
But I mean, this one still does the virtualization, right? Compared to the grid, so performance might be the same, but this is just a lighter footprint. Last release we did things like card view, which is beautiful. Look how nice these things look, and they again will inherit all the styles. What else is new? So this is a spreadsheet thing. All of the document processing things that Didi showed off, they are also good on WPF and WinForms and everywhere else. Actually, hold on while this is coming up. No, it did come up quick. So what else is new here? Let's see. If I go in here, the comments are new and conditional formatting is new. So you can have special rules for certain cells or a group of rows or columns where you might want to have like different colors. Just trying to make it easy for your user to quickly visualize what's going on. We can do all of that conditional formatting. And if I go into the comments thing, I'm sure the same thing that Didi did. You can write comments in your spreadsheet and save it off and export and import however you want. I haven't done front end stuff since 2014. Well, it's about time. Front end is pretty good. And all of your themes also live here, so you can make it whatever your app, whatever style your app wants to do. So that's WPF in a nutshell. And while we had that simulator up, let's run this. Okay, so since this is the crypto app, and it actually does look different on desktop versus iPad, even though iPad has more surface area. Now it's more like a master detail page. So I have to click on Dogecoin to get to that other page, which has maybe the charts and graphs for Dogecoin or any other crypto tracker. So you can see like you don't need to do responsiveness just for the web. You can also do it for native apps as well. Let's look at WinForms really quick. Didi, any comments? Anything I'm missing out saying?
For WPF, they have a lot of minor features in the other controls, like in the chart view, they have minor ticks.
Minor ticks, yeah.
Yes.
I'll try to pull up the list of things again. And no, fool Schnabel, do not go to ActiveX again. I mean, you could. It's just, things are hard on the web, as Chris and Ed know, because there are security concerns. On a desktop, you are a trusted app from the user. You can do whatever you want and do malicious things as well, right? Okay, so WinForms for R2 2022. We have a brand new calculator. What do you know about this, Didi? This looks like a scientific calculator, does all the things.
Yes, it's a standard calculator.
It's a calculator. So if your user needs
it looks like the Microsoft calculator, yes.
Yeah, pretty much. So if your app needs a calculator built in for whatever you're doing for your desktop workflows, you just have a calculator, drop it in, one line of code, and you have a calculator that just works. There is a new navigation bar, which I kind of like. I think WPF has it as well, where you can pin things, but this is kind of like the office style navigation, and everything is nice and pinned. You can have extra things in here, so on. So it's really nice. There's a barcode reader. Again, if you're running WinForms apps, and you need to read barcode from some product or devices, maybe from a showroom or a warehouse, you have a way of doing that. And this will support all of the different barcodes that we know. So that's WinForms, and I'm really breezing through some of this thing, but I will pull up the site again. Let's talk about WinUI.
Sam, for
Yes.
WinForms, one very interesting feature for this release, they improved the high DPI support.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. let's go back here. So let's look at WinForms here. So the Office navigation bar, we talked about this, has different types of view modes. There's a new calculator, which is full of features, memory functions. Oh, and we run on .NET 7. I didn't know that. Preview 3 of .NET 7. So look at this. Like your 20-year-old WinForms app now runs on .NET 7, which is incredible, and .NET 6 and .NET 8, so which is nice. And ARM64 support in there as well. Color blending. Okay, so this is what you were talking about. No, this is more of the .NET Core Designer. So if you are doing WinForms development on .NET Core 3.1 forward, you have a brand new designer, and we have enhanced that, with glyphs and inline editing. High DPI support. So if you are using monitors with high DPI, and I think I saw it here, or maybe it was in WPF. So one of the things was like when we opened up a new window, like even though your app was running on a different monitor, it always opened up on the main monitor. Now we know exactly where you're running, and we can open up a new window in the same monitor that you're running on. But high DPI has been a big area of focus for WinForms, because this was old school technologies that we're now bringing on to .NET 7, and we want all of that support. Revamped barcode component with support for reading barcodes. We talked about this a little bit, and all of the document processing libraries get the same treatment all across. So threaded comments, and we did mail merge last release, type 3 fonts, so a lot of things going in here. So let's go up to WPF. Let's see if I missed anything. Virtual keyboard, we talked about that. Different types of layouts and display options, customizations. Culture support is nice. So if you are able to honor the culture of the user and where they're running the app, it'll do that. Windows 11 theme, we talked about that. Has the dark and the light mode. So all of the controls, not just just one or two things. Every one of the controls get that new styling. What else? Latest .NET 7 support, ARM64. Virtual grid support gets new UI elements, cell templates. And this
so
is
you can easily customize the cell in the grid in a way you want. So you can.
So kind of like spread processing, it's like conditional, right? So you can customize exactly how each cell looks like, maybe based on some conditions that you might have. And this is what Didi was talking about, chart view, minor ticks and stripes. So we had the major ticks in our, any type of charts, but now we have the minor ticks, and we can show that. I need to read more about how this minor ticks are showed in a different, graph, and how that exactly means, like the stripes. Do you know, Didi?
No.
Okay, so we both need to learn more, because the engineering teams have put in the work on, and this is well documented in our WPF suites. The grid view gets more zooming and support filtering with text boxes. Oh, and this was the one I was talking about, desktop alert, right? So now we know exactly which window that you're talking about. You do an app.current.main window, and we can go spin up a new window right there where you are doing it. Conditional formatting in spreadsheets. Threaded comments, support for references about the whole column and row, concatenation, and all the different things. So that's a lot of things here. Let's see, what else was I running? Oh, this is WinUI again. This is the latest Windows UX stack. I think I got like 4 more minutes before the web folks have to jump in. So let's see. Chart, what's updated with charts? Oh, there's a new ticks and stripes. That's the exact thing that we are talking about. This is the chart type, and I need to understand exactly what they are trying to show here. So if the chart type is polar, now you see all of those minor ticks. Like, this is really detailed data visualization, and you can control the tick color, the radial color, and how you want to show these things, which is nice. Oh,
they have a new control. Yeah,
the heat map. Yeah. I forgot. So if you have a lot of numeric data and you want to show that to a user, oops, sorry, I closed it. That's not good. Which one is my WinUI demo? And by the way,
lucky for me, I had that on my drinking bingo card.
Jeez, who needs who needs enemies when you have friends like this? So HeatMap. So if you have a lot of numerical data and you are trying to show a visual representation to the user very quickly when you have things grouped. I think this is a human development index, which I don't know what exactly it means, but you get to see the different colors based on conditional things pretty quickly. And I think they have like tooltips that will show how like each of those little things are doing. And there is more here. HeatMap is a pretty popular one. I think we had it for WinForms and WPF. Now it's making it over to WinUI. Colleges, universities. Okay, so again, lots and lots of data that's just quickly visualized with tooltips. That's really nice. So you can go through this, and again, we give you the source code for all of this, and PDF processing, similar things, not embedding the fonts. Again, same idea. You get the file sizes differences with fonts and without fonts.
They have a new control, PdfViewer.
PdfViewer right here. So this maybe is getting it because like Xamarin and .NET MAUI already. .NET MAUI has a PDF viewer, right?
No, .NET
yet.
MAUI, no, not yet.
It doesn't. It's coming then. Xamarin has it, and now WinUI is getting it. It is a PDF viewer, and it's full fidelity, has all of your taskbar menus, so you can rotate, you can zoom in, you can import, you can export, all the things, which is really nice. So yeah, a lot of love going into WinUI as well. TabControl.
Yes,
this is the one that you can actually pin. So you see that pinning feature, and then you can reorder things like this. Maybe. Oh, I already pinned that, I think. How do I reorder? Maybe this demo is not set up for reorder because that's a feature, so you can order things left or right. But if you are displaying a lot of data on your desktop application and you want like tabbed views, now you have a tab control that I'm sure inherits like child tab item controls, and then it's all like templatable, so you can render this however you want. So we talked about WPF, WinForms, and we don't talk about this much, but Universal Windows Platform, this is there as well for all of your Windows apps. If you are still building that, we are still supporting it, and this is kind of porting over to WinUI. It's pretty much the same story with the Windows App SDK and the latest Windows stack, and the UX theme being completely fluent as compared to what we had in Windows before. So all of the UWP controls are right there, and they all do the same things that you expect.
We had a question too, Sam.
Okay.
So I think there's a little bit of confusion here because you are all on WPF and desktop. So are there business rules, though, that you can use C# for? The question was regarding JavaScript. This would be C#.
Oh, no, absolutely. And I am running out of time. I'm watching your web stuff as well. But let's see. Let me pull up. Let me pull up some code here. We are on the CryptoTracker. Let's look at .NET MAUI, for example. Okay, so
and for the comparable web components, yeah, we could, depending on the framework, we could use JavaScript, or in the case of Blazor, we could use some C# to control the value and color.
Yeah. So in a .NET app, this one is .NET MAUI, but you'll have the similar thing on WPF or WinUI or Xamarin. It's all the same. So you have kind of an adherence to a design pattern, be it MVU or MVVM, which is model view view model. That's kind of what most of the. Hold on, I'm trying to get it. Someone's calling me, which I don't need to take. But essentially, you have your views, which are the displayable things that the user sees, right? The coin, XAML, which is the front end for WPF and Xamarin and WinUI and .NET MAUI, and then each of them have like a code behind, and you want to maybe minimize how much code you put in the code behind, but all of your business logic should really go into separate classes that are easily abstractable to .NET standard libraries. So a view model has nothing to do with each individual view, hopefully, but it does drive the interaction of the user on each view. So this is
Sam, I'm going to pause you for 1 second, my friend. We just got rated by the Visual Studio channel with 94 people.
Hello. Yeah. Hello, and welcome to Code It Live. And it's Eastern time morning for me and Ed, while Didi and Chris are in Eastern Europe. So it's kind of late evening, almost time to head out from work, but they are being gracious and hanging out with us. what we are doing here today is, unpacking a little bit of what we put out last week. This is a special stream. Normally, you will see Ed and me kind of code away and fail a lot, but today we have some, distinguished engineers with us who are walking us through some of the things that we did last release. And good morning, Mr. C# Fritz. So what we are doing is unpacking what's new in all of our web, desktop, and mobile suites across Telerik. And we did the Kendo UI ones last week, and we also have productivity, enhancements that we did with, Fiddler and reporting and testing. So we are all in, trying to make developers a little bit more successful. So that's what we have been unpacking. We talked a lot about .NET MAUI, a lot about WinUI, and this might actually be a good time for Fritz or Visual Studio to rate us, because you folks have been wanting web stuff. And Didi and me are a little biased. We are native developers. We like our native bits on iOS, Android, or WPF, WinForms, and Xamarin. So we talked about all things .NET MAUI, exciting times because release is coming up for .NET MAUI. We talked about WinUI, WPF, WinForms. That's all of your Windows desktop stuff. And I think we are ready to switch. Didi, any more things on the native stack?
No, I think we can start with Blazor.
Okay, folks are just clamoring to get to Blazor. I understand. Okay.
Chris has been patiently waiting. He's got some fun new stuff to show off.
Yeah. So I don't want to take any more of your time. Then let's switch gears to Blazor.
So
who wants to go?
I asked Chris to join us here because he works on a really cool project here at Progress called the Blazor REPL, Telerik Blazor REPL. And he's busy adding a bunch of new features to it. And I thought it'd be nice to show off some of those things. So Chris, if you want to, let's see, we got to add your screen here, I think. But if you want to take the wheel here and show off some of the stuff you've been working on.
Yeah, of course.
We'll enjoy it.
So basically, a few words about the Blazor REPL in general. This is some kind of online IDE which allows you to run and compile and render your Blazor components, and this happening inside your browser. So this is the basic example here. We have some kind of H1, and we can compile it and render the result. And you can have some additional features like installing NuGet packages, adding static assets, and of course customizing the running and also customizing the Telerik UI controls, including the theming. And more specifically for the new features now, we just added the new code generation tab here inside our menu. And this is something like snippets that are used to in the Visual Studio and Visual Studio Code for the first part. And for the scaffolders, we have added for some of our components scaffolding that are more advanced than just snippets, and I will show you basically right now what is it. You can here is the list of all our components that are having snippets or are scaffoldable, and you know that our grid is the most popular component. We can, for example, generate a snippet for it, like just clicking the Add plus button, and the code snippet is placed in the editor, and we can also drag the snippet here. And you can see that, for example, if I drag it, there is some kind of focus on the data part, and I can basically enter my property for the data field, and if I click tab, I can move to the and customize the other properties of the grid. So basically, I can say that I don't want the grid to be groupable, and maybe I want some kind of filtering with a filter row and so on. So to show some actual examples, let's use some of the snippets we have. Let's start with the pager. I'll drag the snippet for the pager inside the editor. And you see that I have a bindable page parameters with some page size, total items, and the input type for the kind of input type that user can choose the page. And to run this, I should define.
This is super helpful for like prototyping something or just
yeah
adding.
definitely.
You want to play around here before adding it to your project. It's really easy to like look at things in a quick way.
Yeah, and it's as you say, it's easy to create some kind of proof of concept or just explore our components without knowing all the parameter names or even the component names.
Mm-hmm.
And let's yeah.
I was gonna say, like, while Chris is typing, can me and Didi just say that we hate you all, like the web developers, because this is so easy for you to run. Like when me or Didi make code changes, like even with like live preview and hot restart and hot reload, it takes forever for us to see our code changes. And here you have no drama. You're just like pulling up a browser tab and just running Blazor code. Look at that. So yeah, I'm really jealous.
Definitely, this becomes so easy with the Blazor WebAssembly running C# in the browser, and for the desktop and mobile applications, it really harder to run the demos. Now you see that basically we have a pager only defining our page property here.
Chris, before you go on, can you bump up your font size a little bit, please?
Yep, just to see how to do it. There is some commands in the editor like this. Is it better or
Yeah,
maybe
no,
one more?
This is good.
Yeah,
You good?
like this. Great. So we are using Monaco editor, which is the editor that's used in the Visual Studio Code. So basically, we have built in some of the basic feature in the Visual Studio Code. We have commands. You can even define your own commands. The shortcuts are basically the same. So yeah, I just use the command for zooming in. And another thing that we include, I show you the all the snippets that we can generate, but these snippets are also included in this Monaco editor, and I can use it in some kind of autocomplete to show that I will just want to create a new component, for example, stepper component. And if I start typing stepper, I basically get some kind of autocomplete with a special cube icon. And this creates the same thing. Excuse me. This creates the same thing as finding the stepper and dragging it. But it also gives you more snippets, because for the components like grid, we have a few snippets that are one, for example, with walk counts, one with editing for with all kind of handlers for the CRUD operation, and this is another way to create these kind of snippets. and be even more productive inside the editor only with your keyboard.
I think it's worth
And,
mentioning too that these are available in Visual Studio Code. So all you have to do is install the Telerik extension for Visual Studio Code. And I think the snippets are prefixed there because you can have other snippets that might conflict in VS Code, but it's TB-grid and you get the grid all stubbed out for you. It's really cool.
Yeah. The same snippets are also included, as I said, in the Visual Studio Code. There are some more specific keyword to activate them, but we decided to use more descriptive name here, so the users and the developers could easily see all the snippet that they need. And just like that, we now have a stepper component, and it seems that there is some problem. Maybe I should define the property for the value. No, I just missed that there is no second step, because this is the index of the step. It should work now. Yeah. We had two steps, but the value is indexed, so we have 0 and 1 here. So yeah, this is the snippets. We have all kinds of snippets for most of our components, and we will include more in the future with more options for each of the components, so you can easily use them now. So with the second feature, which is also related to some kind of code generation, I want to show you some more complex example. First, you see that some of the components has additional icon for the configuring scaffolding. If you hover, you can see the scaffold tooltip. And let's see, for example, the grid. If you click this icon, you see that a bunch of options pop up, and basically I can just click this to show you what it will generate. It's similar to the snippet, but it adds more of the code and even the C#, not only the markup. It currently don't generate the model or the service that you are using. We will improve this in the future, but since I want to show some more complete example, I create a template that I already defined my model. And in most cases, you may already have a model, and you won't need to generate a new one for the scaffolding. So here in my template, I created a new model with some simple properties. And I also created a service that retrieves the data, which is of type of product DTO, and also have some CRUD options in the service, which currently the retrieving works over HTTP, but the other update, delete, and create methods working only locally. So after we have this service, I also define that the service should be registered in the IOC container. And now I want to scaffold some kind of grid with this data and this model that I just showed you. Let's go to the scaffold options. We are choosing grid, and I'll pin the site menu, and I'll now copy all the stuff that I need. First, my model is called product BTO. The columns that I need to be in the grid, let's, for example, put product name, unit price, and category name. And this will be the columns that are showed in the grid. If I don't put anything here, auto-generated column feature will be used. So basically, in this case, all the columns will be displayed automatically. But
This
I
is a
want,
really cool feature of our grid is that it can use, some
Yeah.
type of reflection to figure out what the columns should be if you don't enter any in there.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's use, for example, multiple selection mode. Inline editing looks good. Our service name currently it's product service, and if I type product service, you see that I have more options for my CRUD methods. The read is called get products. I'll just copy all the names. I intentionally make them with different names, but you have some default values, and you can create your service with default values. I want the grid to be pageable, for example, with 15 rows per page, maybe sortable, and for example, let's use a multiple sort mode with filter row. And when I click scaffold, now I get the full working example. You see that the CRUD handlers are attached to my service. The service is also injected, and basically all of the columns and everything is inside the grid. I will just remove this hard-coded width because we'll show the rendered result on the small page, and I'll try to run it to see what's happened. I hope it runs.
What's really neat here is in the REPL, this is a full Blazor application. Like you have a startup CS and everything right here in the browser. And I think that's pretty unique to like these type of REPL tools. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely you can configure services, but you can set up other things as well. Basically everything which is inside the builder. And
what is mind-blowing for me here is, coming from native land, you're literally doing dependency injection. You're registering services right in the browser while your app is, being bootstrapped.
yeah. So yeah, that's the generated grid. We attached our service. We can, for example, sort, filter our data. We can delete rows and so on. And for example, if we want now just to, for example, show this grid in window, we just can use our window snippet. That it will be always visible. I'll remove the binding. Place the grid inside the content, and now I have grid inside a window, and without finding all the syntax of the properties, I have draggable and resizing and so on. So I think this is really cool.
What's really cool about it is the fact that it was so simple to put a data grid inside of a window when previous frameworks and things like this wasn't so easy. And I remember doing like web forms and stuff. And this could be incredibly difficult. But the Blazor component model, like when you have a template region, like anything can go in that template region and it just renders it. And our components are native Blazor components, so it just works. It's awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
If you don't mind too, can you show the new theme? So we just released a new theme called the Ocean theme, and this one is based on accessibility standards. So it should be nice and easy to read for all all users that are using it. And it's got a nice like blue theme to it. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah. I just can switch to any of the swatches and themes that are listed inside our Telerik UI manager. And for example, we can see that the colors and some other things changed. It's fully accessible. And also, I forgot to mention, but we told you that the snippets are included in the Visual Studio Code extension, but the similar UI, as you are seeing in the repo, is also included for the scaffolding, and you can basically use this kind of features inside the Visual Studio Code. It will be again the same options for each of the scaffolding components, and it will create files directly inside your project. So it should be really similar, just maybe a slightly different UI.
Yeah, this is all incredibly cool. You know, once you folks are done building up your Blazor application, let's say you have a customer who says, I really want this web app to just run on mobile or desktop. You sit on it for a little bit. You say it's going to take us $1 million to write, and you just bundle it up inside .NET MAUI and ship it. And then the exact same code is going to run on desktop or mobile. Well, this is very cool.
Great startup idea.
Yeah, let me know if my mic's working okay too. By the way, I did just try to tweak it a little bit. I think it may have been too far away from my face, so let me know if it's too loud or too quiet. But yeah, you can like totally like prototype stuff in here, and then you can copy code, paste it back in your app. Another thing you could do is you can work within Visual Studio or Visual Studio Code, and we have a menu option in there. You can a context menu. You can just right click and say share on Blazor REPL, and you can just like port this code off to the web and share it with somebody. And I think that's really a powerful feature too, especially if you're troubleshooting something or you just want to share something that you're working on.
Yeah, it's really easy. You can just select some kind of file that maybe you done something interesting, and you can just share it with your friends or social.
So we've got some very specific questions here. I'm not aware of this actual issue about the screen readers not reading the grid column menu buttons properly, but we do have some additional accessibility features in this release. I'm trying to remember exactly what they are. I know the new theme is one of them. Something that we focus on in every release. So we're continuously improving on our accessibility stuff. So we have, let's see here. I'm trying to find the actual release notes on those accessibility features that we came out with.
Yeah, and while you're doing that, like that is news to me as well, because like if you look at the column headers, like those are actual buttons. So if you have text on the filtering properties, that should be readable.
Yeah, is this a known issue? Was it something that was like reported in a ticket or on our like forums or anything? I'd like to know more about that. So if it's not fixed, we can get on top of it.
Sorry guys, I think I just lost my audio for a minute. Not sure if I
No, we still hear you.
everything. Okay. So I missed the last minute. Just to know.
No, no
We're
worries.
just trying to follow up on a question about some accessibility stuff, but I can't seem to find it in the release notes. So yeah, definitely let us know with a ticket or something that we can track that issue on, and we'll make sure we get that fixed.
Yeah, I think we are currently starting working on some more accessibility features. I know that we already implemented for some of the components some
Oh, there we
stuff.
go. Yeah, Yovana's in chat, and this is one of our engineers that's working on this stuff. So she answered directly to you. It looks like it's on schedule to be fixed here in the next release. So yeah, good stuff. Thanks, Yovana.
No, I mean, and like you said, accessibility takes a lot of work, a lot of engineering to do things right. We like on the mobile or desktop front, we spend years and years doing it exactly right for like WPF or for WinUI, and then Microsoft actually has very nice documentation on exactly how you do things. But any new platform, for example, like .NET MAUI, it has like semantic properties and other things, but it takes us time to make sure we are compliant with all the standards.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there too. This is no easy task. When you have something, especially as complex as this data grid, we're looking at things like keyboard navigation. Can I, navigate this data grid inside of a window properly with the keyboard, in case you're not able to use the mouse? And is it reading out all of these things properly in a screen reader? It's definitely something we're focused on getting right.
Yeah, it could become really complex when you have some nestings, for example, grid nested inside another grid, nested inside window, and maybe editing with some locked COM and virtualization and so on. It could be really complex.
Mm-hmm. The new theme here is nice. A lot of people have trouble with getting those colors just right. That's one of the new accessibility features that we added in this release. Is just a nice starting template for getting the right accessible colors there. So that was the focus of that ocean blue theme or swatch that we added to the default theme. So that's a nice have too.
All right, Ed, anything, so like this is all the Blazor stuff. Anything more on the Blazor front, like new stuff you wanted to talk about?
Sure, we have some new components and things that we can share here. First, let me ask Chris, did you have any more demos that you wanted to show? Or
No, that was it.
all right, let's
This is
see.
very cool.
Yeah, and again, Chris has been working on all this stuff and is one of the creators behind Blazor REPL. So it's great to have you on stream with us to show off the stuff you've been working on. We're all really proud of sharing this, with the community and everything. But Chris is one of the devs behind this, making it all happen. And I'm glad to have you on, so you could take credit for some of your hard work that you've been doing.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
It's refreshing when we have like Didi or Chris, like folks who actually know what they're talking about, as compared to me and Ed.
Yeah. Let's see. So with Telerik UI for Blazor, we've got a lot of stuff in the new release. And don't let the green tabs fool you. I know I look for these a lot, but we don't. We do incremental releases as well as these major releases that we do every quarter. So there's been, I think, 3 minor releases between our last webinar and this one. So you'll see these green badges kind of show up and disappear over those periods. But one of the big ones is highlighted in green here, and that's the new file manager. So the file manager is a way to literally recreate like that desktop file manager experience using your own data models in the browser. So you can create like a file explorer. You say you want to make your own like Dropbox type service. You could totally do something like that with our file manager. You have different views that you could toggle between. So it's, for all intents and purposes, just like your desktop file browser. It's got a lot of bells and whistles too. So you can have kind of like a details panel that you can enable. You can do file uploads directly from here. Create new folders, and these aren't necessarily reflected on disk somewhere. This is whatever type of service you want to put behind this file manager, you can use to display in this file-like format. So it's totally up to you how to get that data from your server into this view. But you could use flat data, you can use hierarchical data, and we've got demos right here in demos.telerik.com that you can use to kind of start your project and take it in the direction that you want to go. And of course we have events that you can bind to, renaming, sorting, uploading, downloading, all of those type of things. Download is an interesting one because that you'd think it would be something that's intuitive to the web, but there's actually some things that, little hoops that you have to jump through to invoke a download on a client when you're in a browser-based app like this. So having something like that built in is nice as well. So that's one of the big milestones for this release, is that file manager component.
And it's really easy to customize because you can basically have events that you can plug in with everything, even virtual file system or something in the cloud.
Yeah, I can see this being really handy with cloud-based file systems. Maybe you've got some stuff up in Azure in some blob storage or something like that. It'd be really easy to plug and play with this and let people manage files in that system. So I know this was one of the things that our users were asking for. So I'm sure there's a lot of people out here that have a use case for this.
Speaking of this, there's a classic use case. We actually did this. That's kind of built out of the box. But if you had to do it by yourself, so reporting, right? Whenever you are letting your enterprise users build, generate, style reports, and deliver reports on time, you end up with a lot of reports, and those are essentially files that you're trying to manage. So we have a thing called the report viewer and report manager, where we will have a UI like this for you on the web. But if that's not what you want to do and you want to roll your own for whatever enterprise line of business app that you're looking at, this is a great way to let your users organize their stuff and be able to customize their views and only look at the type of files that you want them to look at.
Yeah. And what's interesting, I think, is these don't literally have to be files on a disk. Like, this is just a metaphor for people to organize their data. And, you could totally have a database that has, maybe some rich data behind it. But this is a nice way to display it in a format that your users are familiar with interacting with data. So this can be very helpful for that. Another thing I want to kind of focus in on here. Let me see if I've got my Zoom It tool. I do not, but I'll just go ahead and mouse over it. So this sort by is actually a component that we released in this release as well. So this is a button. Is it the split button or the group button component? I'm trying to remember the terminology. Split button. Thank you. So our split button is new, and you saw a really good use case there in the file manager. But you can create your own split button type of UI just by calling out the split button here, and then you can kind of nest different but similar behaviors underneath a single button. So that is brand new in this release as well. And again, this is totally customizable. Our new appearance properties are really awesome at kind of controlling how the look and feel of this component is. And you can, choose different colors. You can create your own custom theme as well to go with this. But it's really easy to just, as you can see with just some properties, change the color of that component. And that kind of highlights the intent of some of these things. Maybe you want to have this some type of delete operation. You might want to go with a deep red or something like that. So easily switch that up with these properties. And if we look at like the source for this, those properties simply map to properties on that split button component. So you've got a rounded property, just set the value there, theme color. You just specify what theme color that you'd like, and you'll get that reflected in your UI. So that's nice. That's something that's on most of our input components in our button components, things like that. You could switch those themes out really easily and customize those. Let's see, what was some of our big things? We've got responsive behaviors as well. So in our, let's try to find it here. We've got a lot of components here. It's hard to find things. There's too many. It's a good problem to have. Our toolbar component. It has an adaptive feature to it now. This is going to simulate like scrolling the size of the browser down, so you don't have to scroll the window down to see this. But as you get closer to like a mobile or a tablet device, these items are then hidden behind this kebab menu, and you can just click the button. You get that nice drop down effect there, so you can select from those items. Another thing that's interesting about this is you'll notice that the items reappear and disappear in a certain fashion here. That's because you can control when that happens. So maybe there's some interaction that you want to take out of the menu before something else, so you can kind of prioritize these things. And you'll see this, I think it's like a paint icon here. I don't know what the actual button is in this, but we can go into the code here and look. I think it's the image button here. And the overflow property has been set to always. So this overflow property will help identify things that you want to hide and show. Actually, that's the wrong one. This one is always inside the toolbar. So the one with the paintbrush on it is which one of these? Think of that.
The one with the paintbrush is apply format. It's normally hidden, and we have never to the toolbar items copy and paste, and basically we are telling them that they should not hide never, because it could be some important functionality, and we want to be always visible. And the image will be always inside the pop-up anchor.
Yeah, there we go. So this one is set to always, so that forces it inside of the pop-up. And then copy and paste are set to never. So that's why you see the other icons disappear and these don't. So that helps you kind of tailor this to the experience that you want your users to have, which is really the ideal way to do this. So we have that adaptive feature there. And then we also have it on our pager component. So if we go into our pager component, you can see that in action as well. And this is the same pager that we use on our data grid, by the way. So I don't have the fancy slider on this one, so we'll go ahead and just scroll our window. And you can see that we are going to drop down or give a drop down box to go from page to page. And that helps with the user experience there as you go down to smaller screen real estate that can't support all of this data on the toolbar or on the pager. So responsive design is getting to be a really big deal, because that MAUI topic we keep kind of coming back to, Sam. want to make sure these things are going to work on Maui, because if you decide to take your app to iOS or Android, then these adaptive pagers and menus are going to be a big help.
Yeah, and this is a built-in functionality, but you can also customize our components using the media query component. You can define some kind of custom resolution and change the state when you go to this resolution.
Yeah, the media query component is, I'm trying to remember when we released that. It's almost a year ago, I think. And it provides like a ad hoc way to, customize these things. If you want to maybe swap out certain components for different views, that could be a thing. So you could have a, really rich data grid, but maybe when you're on mobile, you can tell the media query component to substitute like a list of cards or something like that instead. So you can totally change up your UI based on what the user is, what their device can support. We also have a bunch of updates in our Gantt component. So we have pop-up editing is part of our Gantt component. I believe that's new in this release, or one of the minor releases leading up to this one. So our pop-up component, that is also customizable. Our pop-up editors and things have customized features that have been added to them. So you'll see that same editor popping up in the data grid. That is customizable now as well. And we also have batch editing, custom batch editing added to this release. So we often add things to our big components like our Gantt and our data grid, because those are our most popular components. So there's a lot of new features that get added to these quite frequently. So yeah, we've got batch editing here. I'm trying to remember what some of our other data grid ones are. We've got, let's see. DebounceDelay is worth talking about as well. So if you're either working with Blazor server or you have a web API that you're calling from some of the input components, let's take a look at, let's see, where is the combo box? Combo box is a good one here. Do we have a demo of this one, Chris? The new debounceDelay?
We have demos.
Under filtering. Yeah, I found it. There we go. So under filtering here, we've got the new debounceDelay property. And the idea here is if you're on, Blazor server uses WebSockets. So this helps a lot with that as well. If you're on Blazor WebAssembly, you're calling back to a web API from the front end. And let's say I start typing in here and, you could see the drop-down list changing, but I'm typing to find Honda. Well, every time I type a character, this is making an API call to go sort this list or get results on this list. And if you don't want to make that API call every time or have a WebSocket traffic happen every time you type one of those letters, you can increase this debounceDelay so that it takes more time, more delay time after the user stops typing before that event is triggered. So you can control this window, with whatever time that you would like, depending on how often you want to ping that endpoint or make that WebSocket traffic happen. So this can be, a good UX thing. Or it can also save you from overloading your web API calls and saturating your WebSocket connections with Blazor server.
And also the database, because we could have some table with millions of records that we want to filter, and this will prevent us from also flooding the database.
Yeah, excellent point. So this is a more of a performance tweak that you can now take control of. And this exists in, I think, almost all of our input components. I want to say it does. Does that sound about right, Chris? Like almost all our input components have this feature?
Yeah, all of our input components and for the dropdowns, we will enable it only on filtering. So
Yeah,
like
and
combo box, you should expect that the heavy lifting is done on filtering.
And since we reuse these same components inside of some of our larger UI components, you get those properties in like the data grid as well on filtering and stuff, for example. So that is also a new feature in our filter row on the grid. So you'll see that there as well. We have a new rebind method on the data grid. That's something that I think users were asking for. So that helps you programmatically tell the grid to rebind its data when certain events happen. So you can customize, you have some things that are happening in your UI. You want to ensure that the data grid gets re-rendered. You can trigger that event. Let's see, we've got...
Ed, before we move on, this might need like programmatic access, but Blazor Mr. Magoo was asking like if you could check how much it's taking for you to get a response back and then adjust it on the fly.
You can do that because we can dynamically change the delay, but you should measure the response time by yourself.
Yeah, I think that's not something that's built in. You'd have to write some sort of algorithm to figure out what the response time is and adjust it accordingly. But it's something that can be data bound, so you could have it as a sliding value of some sort. We've got a lot of stuff on the Gantt, so like pop-up editing, inline editing, editor types, all of that are brand new to the Gantt as well. Again, sorry, I have to rely on my notes. We don't keep our new and updated icons around long enough because of these intermittent releases that we do. So it's hard to remember all the key points here. But yeah, editors inside of the Gantt. Again, this is one of our more popular components. We get a lot of feedback on this. People asking for updates on all of these things and new features all of the time. This is some of the more important features here is this pop-up editing. So you can come in and tweak the data on your Gantt charts. And I'm dragging this window around also to show another new feature that got inherited from the window component, and that's the ability to resize the window. So that's a new feature as well. So you can resize these by dragging. And if you're using the window component directly, that is enabled by a simple property as well. So if you want people to be able to resize the window, you can do that through a property. You can also, I got them on the wrong demo here, but there we go. Get the idea. You can just set a true false flag on that component, and that enables and disables the ability to resize that window. So that is brand new. This was last release, but still worth mentioning. You can have multiple windows as well. So, whoops, that's modal. There we go. So you have multiple windows showing at the same time. They can be modal and all of that. So the window component's gotten some attention as well. There's probably really too many things to go over. We've got so many new UI components for Blazor and new features. Like we'll have to save a lot of this for the webinar, Sam. But yeah,
I am chuckling here a little bit because tomorrow Ed and me are doing the formal webinar where we unpack all the R2 release. And like I have to put on a shirt, I have to put gel on my hair, like the only time in the year. But you two spent like an hour just talking about Blazor, and tomorrow you have to talk about all of the other things as well, like MVC
There's other
and
things?
web forms. Yeah, those are real.
Yeah, we do have a lot of other web stuff. So WebForms got new content as well. You know, WebForms has been with us for almost 20 years now, and it's still getting new components. I think that's absolutely amazing. And people are still building brand new applications with WebForms. It's one of those things that people like to pretend that it's dead, but it is not, and it's very productive. So UI for AJAX has gotten some new features in the last release as well. They got the new stepper component, which Blazor has too, but this is part of that wizard experience, which they have a wizard for AJAX as well. But if you want just the stepper portion of it, it's nice for showing progress in a multi-step, form or something like that, where you're getting built up for checkout, whatever it is. It's a really nice thing to have. That was added for AJAX. ASP.NET Core's got tons of stuff as well. Lots of new components. We've got all the fancy color pickers. So that's nice. One of my favorites here is the contrast tool that you can enable to make sure that when your users are picking colors for, say you've got some kind of custom report or something that the user can control colors on some of the text, you can enable this so they're able to know if their color choices are accessible or not. I think that's really awesome to have. So that is part of the color pickers. Those are new in this release. We've also got the same capabilities with scaffolding and code snippets in Visual Studio Code. There's a tool that you can install in Visual Studio Code for that, and you can get that code completion and scaffolding for your ASP.NET Core stuff. So the tooling is coming along for that as well.
I really like the contrast comparison tool, because it's like accessibility is like a wide spectrum, right? And it's just like what do you call accessibility? Like color blindness or subtle differences. This is very, very common. So now you have a way of knowing if your colors are acceptable for most.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, I think that is one of the biggest accessibility needs that is out there. So, there's a larger percentage of people that can't distinguish colors and contrast than there are pretty much any other type of, user requirement that's out there. If I remember right, I'm not an accessibility expert, but I believe that is the case. So that's really important. Spreadsheet is one of the keystone features of ASP.NET Core. You can now resize the spreadsheet on the fly. So you could increase or decrease the amount of rows and columns just by setting those values. So we could set this to 5 columns or 500 columns just on the fly there. And this is something I think is been requested by users pretty intensely. So we added that feature as well.
Hey Ed, can I ask a dumb question here? Because I have Chris here. So I understand all that Blazor is doing to run things on WebAssembly, but when you have like a ASP.NET Core demo and you have the edit in Telerik REPL link, how is this even working? Like how does this all pull together the runtime bits?
It basically do all the compilation server side. It's not done client side like in the Blazor repo, but it's running in some container, for example, I'm not
Oh.
really sure with the details. I know that it's secure enough. You don't have access to things that you don't need to touch.
Wow. Because like it has to pull in the NuGet package and launch the app from a server. This is sweet.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, it's harder to secure it on the server because you can touch many things that we don't need to touch. But basically, we can do everything on the server too.
Yeah, with the case for Blazor, you're sandboxed into that WebAssembly based .NET runtime. So on ASP.NET Core, that's not quite the case. So it's kind of a different scenario there.
The browser is your VM.
Exactly. It's pretty amazing stuff. And I have to admit the performance of Telerik REPL for Blazor's gotten quite nice as well. So I know you've been working hard on all of that, making sure it works smoothly. And people have this idea that Blazor's slow somehow, and not only is it running Blazor in the browser, but it's running this REPL on top of everything else, and it's very proficient. It's nice to see that.
Yeah, definitely. You can basically compile the similar code in the Visual Studio and the repo basically for the same time. And maybe in the repo it will be more performant.
Wow. That's not a good example.
Did you
That one aired
folks
out.
like? Yeah, I think like Chris mentioned this a couple of times. Did you folks actually use the Monaco editor when it first came out? Visual Studio Online, I think that something was what it was called. Like before VS
Monaco?
Code was, before VS Code was out. Like they had the editors out for a while, and it's amazing how much it has come, how far along it has come.
Yeah, the Monaco editor is really cool. Basically, the repo is not that old. It's after the Visual Studio Code, so we just inherit it from there.
Yeah, very cool. All right, so Ed, you have your work cut out tomorrow for the webinar.
I know.
Talk about
Got a lot to cover. And we didn't even get into Visual Studio to do demos of the scaffolding tools there and the code snippets. But I think the representation of that in Blazor REPL is about the same, except the menus and things are differently represented to people in the UI.
Yeah, and I have my work cut out as well. Like, I won't have a DD, and I have to show off all the Xamarin and .NET MAUI suites. And I feel particularly bad because like each of those teams are putting in so much effort, and we are having to cover it in like 10 minutes, 15 minutes. But yeah, it's the nature of the game.
Yeah, that's a great blog post that Chris dropped in the chat. So if you go to that, you'll see everything that's new in Blazor UI. Also, if you just do telerik.com/what's-new, I think you get everything from all the DevCraft products and then some that was released in this release too.
Indeed. All right. It's been like 2 hours and it's flew by. So this is fun. Yeah, Didi and Chris, we cannot thank you enough for, hopping on stream with Ed and me here, just showing us the latest and greatest. Thank you. I know there are like other, teams that put everything together, but thank you for what you did in this release. So we get to show off and look good.
Mm-hmm. We have to, I don't know if we still have some of our other superheroes back behind the chat room, but, oh, yep, Ivana's still there. I was going to say Ivana's been in chat as well. So Chris and Ivana both work on the Blazor stuff, and they do an amazing job at getting everything ready for release, and we're happy to have them.
Yeah. And the .NET MAUI team has been working overtime because it's a brand new product that we're trying to launch and get out there, get the apps out in the app stores. It's just a lot of work, especially on a framework that is very new. Like it's still like about a year old, .NET MAUI. So it's taken a lot of like breaking changes and working through preview bits and RC bits to get the thing up and running and ready to go.
Yeah. You got to remember too, like we've had Blazor around for, I think this is going on our 4th year now, but we get curveballs. So I've been talking to the team about MAUI and Blazor Hybrid, and it's like, we develop these components, and then something game-changing like MAUI comes along with Blazor Hybrid. So we're looking at support options for that and how it's going to work. We have to test all of that stuff to make sure the users are getting what they expect from it. So we have our work cut out for us on the side of the fence because of MAUI as well.
All right, folks. Everyone in the chat room: Harlem Hale, and Aztec Consulting, Blazor Mr. Magoo, Lord Karsgaard, and I'm going to forget names here, but thanks for hanging out with us. Much appreciate, and asking interesting questions which make us look around for answers. That's always good. All of us? No, not this guy. Not this guy. He just lurks and gives us trouble.
Thanks for the raid, my friend.
Thank you.
Thanks again.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. So you can actually see a lot of folks, C# Fritz, and I think we saw Fierce Kittens hang around. They actually build other stuff with our Blazor components. So if you want to hang out and see other people use our components, go to their streams. All right, folks, I think it's almost lunchtime for Ed and me. And it's almost, maybe drink time for Didi and Chris. So
Dinner time, drink
dinner
time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes. Hope you enjoy the rest of your evening, you folks from Europe. And Ed and me will go have lunch. And we'll see you on the formal webinars coming up. The next 3 days are webinar days. Tomorrow is all things Telerik. Wednesday is all things Gantt UI, and Thursday is all things productivity. So come and join us. And thank you, Aztec Consulting, for our engineers don't get this enough. They only get the stuff that doesn't work, tickets and other stuff. But the thank yous for when things do work, for all the hard work that you put in. So thank you, Aztec Consulting. All right, folks, I think that's a wrap for this stream, and we'll see you around on another stream. Hope you have your friends and family are safe and you're doing well and you're trying to be as productive as you can. And C# Fritz is looking to deploy the latest bits to ClipTalk. Yeah.
Awesome.
Very cool. All right, folks, we'll see you around on another stream. And thanks again.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.